Welcome to Real Parenting with Mackly. Mackly is committed to supporting parents in the journey of raising children. Through this show, we want to create a platform to host discussions on parenting and build a community where parents can share experiences, gain valuable insights, and navigate the challenges of parenting together. We are thrilled to have with us today a true expert in the field of digital parenting. Introducing Richa Singh. She is on a mission to make the internet a safer place for kids and is the co-founder and CEO of Happyinetz. Welcome, Richa. It's lovely to have you with us here today.
Thank you for having me over. I cannot wait to see how this conversation flows.
Great. Globally today, the number one problem all parents have is how internet is affecting their children. How do we combat this, and is there an age-appropriate way to do this?
So like you mentioned, right, internet is a critical part of our everyday lives, and which includes our children too. So kids as young as 4 are introduced to gadgets and internet, not just as a way of entertainment, but also as a form of education. So age groups become a very important part of the internet conversation. So for example, the quality of internet cannot be the same for someone who's 4 or 14 or 40. So there are certain guidelines. For example, there's WHO guidelines. There's the American Pediatric Association's guidelines that recommend the quantity and the quality of the internet that should be allowed to a child. There's also the concern around supervised and unsupervised internet. So as a parent, for example, if we have a 4-year-old, the parent will be mindful of the fact that they will sit with the child and co-watch the internet. But that cannot be said for a 14-year-old, where there will be more autonomy for a teenager.
Surely. I think also would like to touch upon where if you have children of different age groups in the house.
Right.
The requirement for the usage of internet might be different.
Yes.
And the supervision requirement also will differ accordingly.
Yes.
So how does a parent deal with that kind of a challenge?
Kids, contrary to what we feel, are more scared of ambiguity, and they thrive on a very black and white way of rules or parenting. So if you watch, say for example, if you're watching a movie on OTT, there are tags that are visible, right? This is PG, this is 13 plus, this is 16 plus. So start with that. We know for a fact that there was a parent who actually told us that it worked at her house, that what she would do was that when her son would come, and he's a 9-year-old, and he would say that, I want to download this game. She would ask him that, okay, I'm not going to, I as a parent, I'm not going to tell you yes or no. Let's just take this journey together. Let's find out more about the game, right?
Okay.
And then she would navigate to the section where the age would be there. And she would be like, it's written 13 plus.
Not appropriate for you.
So, I'm not saying this, right? It's the game itself which is saying it. And kids respond better when they feel that the decision was not the parents' whims and fancy. It was more structured in approach, and that there was a method to it. So internet as well, there's a lot of classification out there. For example, social media is not allowed to 13 and under. So if a parent wants to have a chat and saying that your sister's allowed because she's 13 plus and you aren't, and include both the siblings in it, I feel that's the way out to deal with what is definitely a very difficult situation at home.
I think that's a great trick that we all should kind of try. A lot of children are playing online games. How do parents set boundaries around this?
A lot of the kids, when they play online games, get a sense of achievement because they're good at it. They're being appreciated by someone in Netherlands, they're getting a good rank on it, or they have that sense of worth as part of the game, right? Validation. And it's not something that's just pure luck or them being good looking or smart. It's a skill-based activity. So they tend to come home from that game thinking that I've done something. I've accomplished something. I was appreciated by my peers. I was also appreciated by somebody who was elder to me, sitting in a different country. This is something which I can be good at, this can,
But in the virtual world.
Right? A good comparison for something like that for us when we were growing up was sports. Now, I was a nerdy kid,
Okay.
so it does not hold on to me. I always would come the last in a 100-meter race. But I know a lot of kids from that time who would go, they would play in park and they would be like, I'm a goalkeeper, and they'd come back and say, I was picked the first in this team, and that sense of achievement which is not academic and not approved by parents.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're good in studies, you see that appreciation from your parents, and sometimes I've heard these kids say that they feel that is something like they feel they're not doing for themselves. They're doing for their parents.
Yeah.
But in an online gaming world or in a sports world, right, there's a bit of an ownership that the child has, that it's my thing, I decided to do it, which is the kid's side. And I think I want to have this chat with parents because it's very important that parents understand the psyche behind them being in the online games, right? Why are they getting sucked into it? Now, how can you actually manage it? One way is that you can, yes, have a conversation with them. You can appreciate the fact that the game might be something for them. You can very honestly tell them the fears. So, I've seen kids, when you tell them, okay, you want to play this game for an hour, do that. But say if somebody asks you on chat your address, or, if somebody asks you on chat, what do your parents do? Where do they stay? Or, saying something like, okay, that kid might be saying he or she is 16, but how do you know that he is actually 16?
Speaking the truth,
Right? And say that the game itself is not bad, but these distractions, these elements which aren't even in your control, they can be bad. I'm not saying that the kid is mature enough to pick on all these things, but at least the kid understands your problems.
Okay.
Right? It's not with the game. It's what it can lead to. So that's the first part. Second is, I mean that you need to have a parental control filter at home. What a parental control filter does is it even provides safe gaming. So while I know that the bigger question out there is that, oh, he or she is spending 3 hours playing that game, but at least it's safe, let's begin with that. Because parental control filters will make sure that any misleading links are blocked. Any sort of adult content or ads that might prop up in the games, that is blocked. So we've dealt with the filtering part of it. Then comes the time, which I think is only communication. You can set timers in parental control filters too, but it will always be through collaboration with the child.
Okay.
And I think that sense of achievement that they have from the game, why don't you provide them with something else? Maybe appreciate them, for something else as well, which is not just studies. Appreciate them for who they are and build that self-worth, which perhaps can detach this sense of association they have with gaming right now.
As parents, we also use the internet a lot.
Yeah.
And kids look at us and sometimes, question as to why we tend to use it a lot while we have limitations for them.
Yeah.
And we're very tempted to say, do as I say and not as I do. How do we tackle that kind of conversation?
And I think at that time, a parent can be very candid about it. We tend to take a very a pedestal, like
defensive approach.
Yes, that we tend to start saying something like, that I know better. I'm an adult. I am allowed. Something that I follow at home is my 2-year-old. When she comes to me and she'd be like phone, like she also wants it, right? Yeah. So I often tell her that, okay, mama, you can count it. Is going to just send 3 messages, and you can sit here and see that, and she'll put it away. So regulating in a way that gives them the confidence that you promised that you would do something, you would break away the phone, or you will go back to it after certain time, builds respect. And again, it's not like a one-way communication. And the child also, I think, then starts understanding that, okay, this is not like an arbitrary rule that you've created. You're also having a system to sort of sort it. Like I mentioned, kids hate ambiguity.
Yeah.
So I think as much as we can make it transparent and black and white for them as a take home, they're very comfortable. Then they think that, just because I'm small, they're not taking me for a ride.
Yeah. Even if you're laying down rules, I feel, right? As long as you're clear about it, I think they feel better.
Yes. You can tell a child that, I have to work till 6. So I will need my phone more in from the 10 to 6 period.
Yeah.
But say 6 to 8, I'll be yours. I'll not touch the phone. So I think, again, just the idea that you've included them in the conversation, and it's not something that is being just, unilaterally.
Yeah, bringing them on board.
Yeah.
Collectively making decisions.
Yes. So that's something I think works well.
Okay. Parents are worried about their children being exposed to adult content such as pornography. How do we deal with this kind of issue?
I think first up, we need to understand that kids are not actively searching for pornography. Let's just first define the problem statement as well, right? They are inadvertently exposed to it at a very young age. And there's always that mix of things within the group itself. Like some kids will pick it up and then it will become a domino effect and they'll start talking about it.
Yeah.
But I am of the opinion that children are not actively going on the internet and searching for these adult themes from day one. Very alarming phenomena out there is premature puberty.
Yeah.
Puberty is hitting children as early as 7 and 8.
I know. Yeah.
Right? And I mean, back when we were there, 12, 13 was probably the average.
Yeah.
And we had people even stretching up to 14 and 15, right? So puberty has immensely advanced, and a lot of it has got to do with the fact with the internet. There is a clear correlation with it. For example, Government of India has blocked around multiple websites which are related to pornography. I realized that there are parents out there who are fighting these 22 million websites and apps. So I think to not mince my words, it's not an individual person's problem to solve. We all have to come together.
Yeah.
There have to be stricter commitment on technology companies to ensure that stuff like that does not pass through. There have to be laws, regulations from every single government out there that are holding these technology companies to better standards. And parents have to move to action. We're not doing anything about it. And doing anything about it is that you need to have technology at home to safeguard. You need to stop bad internet at source. You have to have an internet filter at home, which means that when I was growing up, I was getting, water directly from the municipal. And my parents were then educated by a brand that you require a water filter. They moved to action. They understood the implication of it. And now I don't think there's any house that does not have a water filter. The concern around internet filters is exactly that. You are getting municipal internet at home. And that internet is not appropriate for your child. And the internet does not discriminate. That gadget does not care whether it's being used by a 3-year-old
or a 30-year-old.
or a 30-year-old, right? So I think when it comes to adult content, communication stands as the last point.
Kids today are more internet savvy than us. And at school, a lot of the study material and lessons are on the internet today. So how do we have that balance? Yes, the filters. Do the filters also help during that study time?
To answer your question, they do.
Yeah.
Because filters have tabs like distraction-free study time, only education, online learning. You can basically design the internet for the child and it need not be permanent. So we have to understand when we talk about internet, and especially internet and education, no two families, no two children are the same.
Yeah.
No two parenting styles are the same, right? So which is why it's the robustness of the parental filter that you're using, that it should be able to customize the internet quality and quantity to suit the day, to suit the month, and to suit the age of the child. So exactly what you're mentioning, we get this question a lot. So I think I go back to the tech contract. So when you're setting screen time, remember, internet is a playground for the child. So you can't just force them to only do education. You need to give them their entertainment space and leisure too, but sign that off. So you can always have that conversation that, listen, 1 hour education and 1 hour screen time, depending on the age. Please look at the guidelines and then decide. But hypothetically, if it's 2 hours, you split it into 2. And then when it's that education, you switch on only the education related content. So they make sure that they are accessing only that.
Okay.
And then when you think that that education time has gotten over and let them come to you, at that moment you can tell them, okay, now you have the internet that is more entertaining and beyond the education. Parental control filters can help you do that at the click of a button. So,
nice.
This is again a very pandemic phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
We had done a consumer survey before we had launched Happyinetz, and we had spoken to quite a few parents. And my favorite anecdote is, every time we used to ask the parent that at what age did your child start using screens a lot? Irrespective of what the child's age was, all of them said in the pandemic, after the pandemic, because of the COVID.
Yeah.
So it's also in the pandemic that smart education became so huge. And parents tend to feel that the children are sort of taking them for a ride.
Yeah.
They'll be like, no, I'm studying. But they have no way of knowing that. With the parental control filter, if you've set those sort of timers and categories in place, as a parent, you can be rest assured that he or she is not on social media right now. So that's actually a smart way of designing the internet for the child.
Great. This has been so much fun, and I'm sure all the parents out there will learn a lot from all the insights shared by Dr. Richa. We extend heartfelt thanks for her invaluable insights. As a small token of appreciation, we would like to give you a small gift from Mackly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you again next time on Real Parenting with Mackly.